MGMT, my current favorite band of all time, and for good reason. These two talented white boys have delivered some of the greatest music my ears have ever heard, and it's a shame it took me this long to find them, with me only discovering them in late 2021 with the surge of little dark age edits. I'll have a lot more to say about this much later on. And although this makes me a relative new fan for a duo that's been producing bangers longer than I've been alive, I practically have been listening to them non-stop over the past 3.5 years. And I've now been around long enough to fully experience an entire album rollout with the band's latest studio album and Loss of Life. And with this album's first year anniversary coming up in late February, I decided to host a little stream on Twitch, where I listened to every single MGMT studio album in a row, just for this video. You should all go follow me, by the way. As for the 1-year anniversary of Loss of Life, I brought it upon myself to rank every single MGMT song, mostly just as an excuse to ramble about my favorite band in length. However, I already know that this video may cause some controversy or pissy comments, as in my experience of lurking within many online MGMT fan groups, discussion about your favorite song or album will often cause a group of kind and civilized human beings to devolve into a horde of screaming monkeys throwing shit on each other and just causing everyone to waste their time. Nothing gets accomplished. This is the reason why I had that dumb little warning in the intro, but why? What causes talking about MGMT, or just music discussion in general, to feel like a war zone 75% of the time? Well, in cases like MGMT's, I see it as a consequence of the band being wildly creative with their music. You see, I find a band like MGMT to be similar to artists such as Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, or Kanye West. Wait, not like that, not like that. I mean this in the way of how this talented group of artists completely change the sound of their music for every new project. And although this is preferable compared to artists or bands that just find one sound that works and just make 6 copy and paste albums with the exact same sound, the artists that do change their sound with every new project often lead to them having a very diverse fan base. As, for example, maybe Fan A only likes and listens to an artist's first 3 albums and hates everything after, but Fan B thinks that this artist's early stuff was trash and prefers her new sound more. And of course there's Fan C, who only likes one album because that was like the one random time that the artist dipped their toes into a random genre that catered specifically to them. Then you place these 3 fans of the same artist in a room together, tell them to talk about their favorite album and why it's the best, and watch in either horror or glee as the monkey party begins. I realize that this tangent has been going on for way too long, so I'll just cut it there. And although I would really like to make a video talking about this specifically, we're still in the intro for a ranking video where I haven't even set the groundwork yet for said ranking. And I wonder why all my videos get so bloated in length. Back to the task at hand. As the title of the video says, I'll be ranking mostly every MGMT song, as according to Wikipedia, MGMT has recorded 85 songs in total. However, many of them aren't available on streaming or just have the band being featured in a random project. So, to prevent excess research and track hunting, I will only be ranking 62 songs in total ranked from 0 to 10, and here's a small key as to what each number and color represents. The songs I've chosen to include are their 5 studio albums, their live performance of 11-11-11, and these 2 singles because it's my list and I can do whatever the hell I want! Although, if there is a track that I didn't mention that you think is peak, let me know in the comments. I'll never complain about listening to more MGMT. And in order to save some time so I can actually get this out during February, I will only be going over a few select songs in depth, those being the MGMT songs I consider to be bad. Don't worry, there's only 7 of these. The other tracks I'll be taking a closer look at are their songs that I consider to be amazing and perfect, with everything else in the middle only receiving short comments just to move things along. And with that, a quick reminder to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy, or dislike and report if you think my opinions are dog shit. And now, let's get into the rankings. And for the honor of being my least favorite MGMT song, of course it's from this album. It really should come as no surprise that Astromancy is widely considered to be MGMT's worst song for very valid reasons. This is such a nothing song. Not only is Andrew shockingly quiet, but it's honestly such a bore. The decent production on it does save it from falling even further than just being a 2 out of 10 track, but this song is the epitome of why I consider MGMT's self-titled album to be their weakest studio album. So many of the tracks on here were just so damn forgettable, and half of the album just kind of blend together to form this grey boring mush. Once we get to the other songs on this album, I'll show off more of my points and evidence for this claim that probably has already caused many self-titled fans to dislike and drop the video. Oh well. This is the interlude in MGMT's live album 11-11-11. With it just having over 1,000 streams on Spotify, that really just has a bunch of noises and audience cheers. But it does transition nicely to Whistling Past the Graveyard, and I'd honestly listen to this 100 times in a row compared to spinning Astromancy again. Another track off the self-titled, and right after Astromancy as well. Yay! This song kind of pisses me off. The recorded-like noises completely taint this song and almost make the first minute unlistenable. Luckily for I Love You to Death, the slow build-up is at least listenable as background noise, despite the self-sabotage with these recorder noises. Also, Jesus Christ, this does not need to be almost 6 minutes long. Jeez, seriously, MGMT, why? Dear Lord. This may just be one of the worst repetitive songs I've ever heard. At least with the other MGMT songs with repetition issues, they are at least pleasant to listen to compared to this crunchy, irritating ass song, with the only redeeming quality of the track being that it's only 2 minutes long. Thank God. This is the introduction to MGMT's live album, with the audio mostly being made of cheering members in the audience and some electronic noises. Nothing worth writing home about, but at least more enjoyable compared to the worst of the self-titled album, which is really saying something. And the interlude as well, I guess.
I thought it was all over.
This actually leads us to the last track from the live album, which unfortunately is pretty weak compared to the other instrumental-only tracks in 11-11-11, as it gets pretty annoying when listening to this, 6.5 minute ending piece. At least the ending of it is pretty nice. The last MGMT track that I considered to be bad. And honestly, I know I'm being very harsh to Plenty of Girls in the Sea here. It isn't the worst, but damn, the little sound you hear in the background grates me. It's a shame because I really do see the vision for this song, but this track also just pisses me off as well because so many other self-titled tracks like this could have been so good, man. Like the little echo here at the end with the whole like, plenty of girl, is actually like super sick, but I just wish that the whole song could have been like that, and not this ear-grating mess spoiling it. Oh well, it is what it is. Speeding up things a bit more, a good sadness is a definition of a mid 5 out of 10 MGMT song. I really have no strong feelings about it one way or the other. It's just another self-titled track where Andrew is kinda quiet, the track is just kinda forgettable, and it just adds more grey mush to the ever-growing pile. A somewhat decent track off 11-11-11, boasting no lyrics, with it being a little enjoyable, although nothing too crazy. I really don't have much to say about these live album tracks, do I? Oh my goodness, finally! A track that isn't off the self-titled or 11-11-11. This is actually a single released in 2020, and it's alright. This is a very trippy, mostly instrumental single that I listen to every now and then, although definitely not one of MGMT's best. And back to the usual suspects. Although, Tell It To Me Like It Is actually quite nice to listen to. A few lyrics here have a nice tone and flow to them. However, this is a 9-minute track, with most of it being instrumental. Almost like MGMT doing a Pink Floyd impression. I only realized now when writing this just how many self-titled and 11-11-11 tracks I put on the bottom half. But at least these tracks are getting better, as Introspection is a pretty alright song. It's a little catchy and much more memorable compared to the bottom 5 songs of this album. Also, holy hell, speak up, Andrew! Finally getting to a track from an album that isn't the same two I've been complaining about, Fourth Dimensional Transition is an unfortunate end to what is a phenomenal 5-track run on a regular spectacular. It isn't bad, mind you, but compared to the euphoric highs of the previous 5 songs, this mellows you out quite a bit, and really just kinda sounds like background noise.
I like everything, I'm a great cool.
Okay, I swear, this is the last self-titled track you'll see for a bit. Cool Song number 2 is a fine song by itself, although why is it so crunchy? But whatever. Compared to the other tracks in this album, I actually wouldn't mind listening to this every now and then. Future Reflections is the closing track to a regular spectacular, with this track annoyingly showcasing moments of greatness packed inside, but to get to those moments, you have to sit through small moments of boringness to get to them. Probably my biggest criticism of a regular spectacular as a whole, but this is still a fun song. The first track off Little Dark Age, and it very easily is the weakest from there, although it still holds a soft spot for me as the production on here, matching the rest of the album, is so good. The only reason why it's down this low is due to the unfortunate buzzkill of the only lyrics of the song. But after that, you just get a pretty good instrumental that's nice to vibe to. This 30-second motif, am I using that term correctly? Is a cute callback to the track I'll talk about later on, and just to kinda spoil it, I really like this soft little tone, but I'll have more words for it later on.
The One Piece is real!
This is the first time in an MGMT album where they somewhat butcher what could have been a really good song. There's a really good and catchy hook in the song that just randomly plays in my head, but I really don't like Andrew's voice here. It's very grating and just not fun to listen to. Thank God he didn't do it again. Right? Right? Also, the little part at the end? That's peak. Another solid 11-11-11 track. Thankfully, with this one only being 2.5 minutes long, and I really enjoy for itself. Some of the sounds that MGMT used for this live album are just so good, man. What a band.
I declare...
The first song off their latest album, Loss of Life, that I consider to be the weakest, is Nothing to Declare, a gentle and beautiful song that's really enjoyable, but it's just unfortunate that this is somehow the worst song on Loss of Life for me. But it just goes to show just how great this album is. Much like all the Little Dark Age songs, this is a fun, vibey song that I really don't have much to say about, besides me continuing to glaze just how incredible MGMT's production is. Another beautiful song off Loss of Life. I really hate calling these really good songs weak, but when you're dealing with the other tracks in these albums, a song like Dancing in Babylon can't really hold a candle to the absolute peak in Loss of Life.
I'm dying!
And speaking of Loss of Life, the opening track, somewhat confusingly called Loss of Life parentheses Part 2, is a great opening to what I consider to be the best album of last year, with the small taste you get here showcasing what to expect from the rest of the album. But the reason why this track is so high is mostly due to how much I love the transition to Mother Nature from this track, where, once again, I'll repeat myself, I'll talk about it later. And after going through over 20 songs, the first song off Congratulations appears with I Found a Whistle, an album that I consider to be MGMT's most consistently great album, as I don't even feel like slandering I Found a Whistle. It's a good song that unfortunately finds itself in an incredible album, where just being good isn't enough to find yourself at the bottom. These 7 out of 10 songs kinda have me scratching my head as to what to say, as the handshake is pretty damn good, especially between 49 seconds and 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Damn, they were cooking. However, the one thing holding this song back Andrew, why with the voices? Also, the ending is super catchy. A nice, pleasant song about the band's friendship with James Richardson, the guitarist in MGMT's live band, and it's a very sweet track with great production. Artists should really write more songs about friendships because this is honestly so endearing.
The zombies are coming.
Like I said with Whistling Past the Graveyard, I really love this little tune that they have here. It honestly sounds like something you would hear off like a TV show or video games radio for some reason. I also have distinct memories of walking between classes in high school listening to this song. No idea why. This track off the live album is honestly kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I really like the hook on here. It's super catchy and I don't know. I just really fuck with this song. The production on it is also super impressive for a live performance. A nice short and sweet track that gradually builds up for the entire song's length for a very satisfying payoff. The only thing I don't really like is how the song just fades out at the end. Just a nitpick though. The final or beginning track for Loss of Life, depending on how you look at it, I really like how grand this song feels. A very solid ending track for a great album, where hopefully we don't have to wait 6 years for another one. Oh man, I really like this true starting track for 11-11-11. It takes a bit to get going, but the overall tone and vibe of the lyrics hit hard. Especially at the final part, just Also, this song really transitions well into Igor's theme. Just something I randomly picked up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And for my favorite 11-11-11 track in this ranking, Who's Counting feels like a true MGMT song from a studio album, played with great production, a catchy flow, and a solid vocal performance by Andrew.
That's a bloody stupid question to ask Brian Eno.
Honestly, when re-listening to this, I forgot just how catchy this track is. This is way better than I remembered this song being. I've been converted. I thought this song was like mid, but what the hell? That was good as hell. Very fun and vibey, although a bit too repetitive for me. That just kind of makes the song fall apart at the end.
That's a bloody stupid question to ask.
Dan Tracy.
A perfect example of how much of a vibe the entirety of Congratulations is. This is a very fun track, and I really like the dun 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 part. It's neat. Well, would you look at that? A track off the self-titled that I actually really like. This is a very solid opening track that unfortunately deceived me to the reality of the actual quality in this album. But that doesn't take away from just how good this song is.
That's a bloody stupid question to ask.
Lady Dada.
Cracking into the 8 out of 10 songs, Lady Dada's Nightmare is, to me, the most underrated track on Congratulations. Despite it having no lyrics, I adore the instrumental of this track. It's really good. Freddy's song is a beautiful lullaby-like song that I just love listening to. And dare I say, it got me just slightly emotional the first time I listened to this track. Beautiful. Beautiful song. Damn, Mr. Disease is so freaking good. Like, maybe if this track was the average quality for the rest of the album, then maybe I could understand everyone in the MGMT community who calls a self-titled album a masterpiece. I'm being really mean, I realize. Sorry. Song's great though. Despite starting off with the classic, quote, oracular voice, the parts where MGMT randomly decides to insert peak is so good. Although this song would be a lot higher if the oracular voice wasn't present.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What a phenomenal opening track. Its working instantly sets the mood for Congratulations. You just know that you're in for a treat 5 seconds in. It's just really good, with my only problem being that it kind of overstays its welcome just a bit. The longest song off Loss of Life is quite the treat to listen to. Amazing production is an understatement here. It's a joy to listen to. Has a great hook, and those trumpets, whew! Great track.
Kids are cool, Jack, and I love my...
The first appearance of the big 3 songs in Oracular Spectacular. And Kids is Kids. A great track that is just so damn catchy. Everyone has at least listened to this track at least once, but it's unfortunately my least favorite out of the big 3. The second single for Loss of Life is a great one, containing a very fun flow and development. All that I really have to say about it is that it's another great track on a great album. Ah yes, Tis Lamp, or Time Spent Looking at My Phone, is one of the many great tracks of Little Dark Age, with the hook/riff within this track being borderline angelical with this production. God, this album is so good.
Michael, don't leave me here.
A great song with amazing vibes and stellar production. Me and Michael is a song that is only better if you actually have a friend named Michael, which I just so happen to have. Look at him. What a cutie patootie. Do I really need to say anything about Time to Pretend, the second track off the MGMT Big 3 that got them their initial fame? I mean, it was used in the fucking Minecraft movie trailer. It's great. Enough said. Like a kid in a candy store. This song is so close to being a 9 out of 10 for me, but I'll treat it like one. In the Afternoon is such a phenomenal single. It almost feels like a bonus track for Little Dark Age, and I just love it so much. It's ridiculously catchy, and Andrew kills it with the vocal inflection he used. My only complaint being the repetitiveness of like a kid in a candy store, a kid in a candy store, a kid in a candy store. Finally entering into the 9 out of 10 songs, Handed Over is it's just such a good ending track. Straight off the bat, you're hit with how great it is, and it just keeps that hold throughout its entire duration. With the worst part of this song, and this album in general, being that it had to end. That was so fucking corny.
What's 9 plus 10?
21?
You stupid.
We're at the point in the list where just one tiny mistake or miscue will drop you down many rankings, as the youth opens up with this kind of like misleading little sting before transitioning into one of the best repetitive songs I've ever heard. Like, I don't think I could ever get sick of just hearing, the youth are starting to change, are you starting to change, are you together. And even the parts in between it are pretty good. A difficult feat for this album, which just makes it that much better. Hey! When You Die is an extremely fun song that's very solid throughout its length, and according to my notes, oozing that delicious little darkish. Yeah, whatever that means. And of course, within this track, you of course have the infamous line of,
Go fuck yourself. Congratulations.
I should have really started using a thesaurus for the word great. This is an excellent closing track for a terrific album, with this track's greatness being vindicated with it having very good streaming numbers, if that means anything to you. The best way I'll describe this track besides great being surprisingly pleasant. Yeah, I like that. Pleasant. Of Moons, Birds, and Monsters is my personal favorite track off of Reckless Spectacular. The first half of this track is godlike, man. Like, it had that effect that some really good songs have on you, or just for like a day or two, that's like the only song you're listening to until you're like earworm satisfied. However, even though this is my favorite track off the album, it isn't the best. As after the second short verse, you have this 11 out of 10 songs slowly mellow out to a solid 9 out of 10, which is just enough to nudge it below a certain Oracular Spectacular song that will come up shortly. Alright, I want to set a small scene for this. So, imagine if you're listening to MGMT's discography for the first time, and you also just happen to have my exact same opinions on these songs, so already kind of a stretch. Regardless, you go through amazing albums, except that one, amazing tracks, except these, but the last album kind of let you down, disappoints even. So, when you click onto the next album, Little Dark Age, you see that it took them 5 years to make this album, and it leaves you wondering if they'll rebound from the last album, or just disappoint again. So, nervously, you hover your cursor over the play button, and click. Few words can describe just how much I enjoy She Works Out Too Much. This opening track instantly sets the vibe for an amazing, fun, and dare I say, generational album. To me at least. I'm aware just how biased I am when I say that. The only other thing I have left to say is that this track is easily MGMT's most consistently great track, although it unfortunately doesn't really peak in the end, preventing it from really going any higher in the list.
Hello, Mind Turtle. Hello!
The first taste we got of Loss of Life was this track as a single on Halloween 2023, and I was instantly hooked. I listened to the song almost every day when it first dropped. It's just so peak, man. I even did an entire presentation on this fun little music video you're seeing right now for my 3D animation class, just because of the music, which wasn't the first, nor will it be the last time I subject a large group of people to the greatness of MGMT. Regardless, this song is amazing, having an incredible build-up for one of my favorite MGMT peaks of glorious.
Electricity!
Here it is, the best track out of the big three in my opinion, and to me, this is the MGMT song if it wasn't for another track that came out 11 years after this. It's almost a little shocking to see how mainstream Electric Feel is. This is one of the few MGMT songs I heard on the radio, and it's one of the only MGMT songs where everyone is like, oh yeah, I've heard that one before. Even for my father, who doesn't even flirt with anything near something like MGMT, even he has it just on his Spotify likes. My only minor criticism just being how the song kind of just fades out in the end. A major pet peeve for me with any song that does that. I really don't know why. I think it's just because it makes the song feel like lazy. But like what? You couldn't make an ending for it? You just had to drag an audio fade onto it? Whatever though. That's all the slander a song as phenomenal as Electric Feel should get. How? How do you even make a song this good? The first 2 minutes of this track, anytime it comes on with Spotify Shuffle, just enthralls me. The production is nothing short of stellar. Although for as much as I love this song, some parts of it do throw me off slightly. I really just wish that it stuck to some of the low-key parts of the song, kind of like some other songs within Loss of Life. Other than that nitpick, this is one of MGMT's finest tracks, so much so that even the bald reviewer guy couldn't help but glaze it.
It's powerful!
Building.
One of, if not my favorite MGMT hype song. Despite having a similar minor flaw like of Moons, Birds, and Monsters of having a peak first half just to mellow out in the second, this peak, however, is just so much better. I really want to mark this down in case it pays off, but I really want to do something special with this specific song, barring copyright and all. And if I do one day, well, expect this clip to resurface.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Self-titled fans, I've really been mean to you all. If the self-titled album was a person, I probably would have been sued for defamation already. But if there is one thing I will give you, An Orphan of Fortune is, if not, one of the greatest closing tracks I have ever heard in my entire life. This track, despite taking a while to get going, is just spectacular, beautiful even. Like, so good that it kinda pisses me off that the rest of the album couldn't be as good as this. The juxtaposition of the previous 5 songs to this almost feels like MGMT was just trolling us, as this track is really just that good, man. I will defend An Orphan of Fortune with all of my honor and dignity, as it easily is the most underrated MGMT track to exist. Like, come on, how does this only have 200,000 more streams than Astromancy? And if it wasn't for a certain song ranked at number 1, An Orphan of Fortune would probably have the greatest peak of any MGMT track. One that you can just lose yourself to. We're at the gates here, ladies and gentlemen. And coming up just short of being a 10 out of 10 song to the random soldier guy is the one, the only, Siberian Breaks. This 12-minute song is magical. Loved by everyone in the community, it is best described as 8 songs mashed together into one and expertly blended together. These songs inside Siberian Breaks could even get its own ranking video and breakdown as to what makes this song so special. But you may be asking, if the song is so good, why isn't it a 10 out of 10 for you? Well, I think it mostly has to do with me not loving every single part of Siberian Breaks. Specifically, part 3. Easily the weakest part of the song, which is a shame with it being the longest part at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It's not bad per se, but it's the part that I enjoyed the least. And with it being the longest part, it damages this enough to turn Siberian Breaks into a flawed masterpiece. But my goodness, hearing the absolute peak of the 6th part is nothing short of sublime. Welcome to the summit. Waiting for us first is, to me, my personal favorite song of 2024. I wish I was joking, follows many of the trends within Loss of Life. The stellar production, the personal lyrics, and of course the 1 or 2 funny lines. I actually wanted to do my own music video for this track, like I already have the entire thing scripted and roughly storyboarded. I should really do it, huh? I have virtually zero complaints with this song, with maybe the only one being that it made me emotional. Not enough to cry, no, I'm a tough manly man, I can't cry at music or whatever. But it did get me sniffling a bit the first time I listened to it. I guess getting double teamed from Freddy's song into this can do it to ya. And just because of that alone, it very well deserves my ranking of 10 out of 10.
Throwing flashbang.
It was so hard to put this list together, but except the top 3 weirdly enough. Flash Delirium is easily the peak of Congratulations, and one of the best songs I've ever heard. This rambunctious track is just a pure banger from start to end, and I will never get sick of having this song in my rotation for as long as I live. This is also really the only 10 out of 10 song that I don't have many words for. It's just an MGMT banger through and through. Go listen to it. Now! I mean, was it really a surprise for anyone? I said in the beginning that this was the song of how I discovered MGMT, where for some reason, the first song that I usually hear from an artist or band usually becomes my favorite track from them, with very few exceptions noted. And this song, I know that it now has a very unfortunate reputation of being that song that a bunch of fucking dipshit neo-Nazis use in their schizophrenic edits where they slow it down, which only makes the song worse. Like, why do people do that? It's funny though, because it actually makes zero goddamn sense. Like, if you actually listen to the song, policemen swear to God, love seeping from their guns. Yeah, it doesn't really sound like a pro-Nazi song to me. Regardless of its reputation and absurd popularity, where even the fucking Prime Minister of the United Kingdom between 2022 and 2024 posted a little Dark Age edit of the British military onto his Twitter account. This song means so much to me. It's easily my favorite song of all time, and I even made a music video of it in my junior year of high school that— Hey, you can't see it, stop, no, not yet, anyways. It's not bad or anything, but it's personal, you know? And as for the actual song, you've probably already listened to it, or at least the main TikTok part that even got me to check out the band in the first place. And I mean, can you even blame me? At this point, that riff is iconic. And there we have it, my personal ranking for every MGMT song. It was quite fun to work on something like this, even if ranking or tier list videos are just utter slop now. I'm aware, I know. But if you're hearing this, thanks for watching all the way through. I really appreciate you hearing me out as I yap about my favorite band's works. It means a lot to me. Although, it would mean a lot more if you liked and subscribed, but for now, my throat is getting kind of tired, and I don't want to keep talking anymore. But if you disagree with my rankings, think my opinions are horseshit and I should die, let me know in the comments. I will gladly die in the many hills I've created in this video, especially in regards to the self-titled album, even if a potential argument would just boil down to us typing yaha and nuh-uh at each other. It's what Discourse is for, right? Here are my album rankings if you're interested. Anyways, of course, more projects are on the way. Thanks to everyone who checked out my previous payday video, and I'll be on my way out now. Baseball season is starting soon, and I gotta be locked in for that. See you then.
Yo, methane check.